We're also going to Fort Knox. I'm going to go with Elon. And would anybody like to join us? Because we want to see if the gold is still there. We want to see. Wouldn't that be terrible? We open up this Fort Knox. It's just solid granite that's 5 feet thick. The front door, you need 6 musclemen to open it up. I don't even think they have windows. Wouldn't that be terrible if we opened it up and there was no gold there?
Fort Knox is synonymous with security, secrecy, and staggering wealth. For decades, the high-security vault in Kentucky has been believed to house much of the United States' gold reserves, amounting to hundreds of billions of dollars. Yet in a bombshell revelation, President Donald Trump has ignited a firestorm of controversy by questioning whether the gold is still there at all. Backed by billionaire Elon Musk, Trump has insisted on a full audit of Fort Knox, suggesting that a significant portion of the gold may have gone missing. Let's look into the curious case of the missing potential billions at Fort Knox. A treasury of secrets.
So we're going to open those doors, we're going to take a look, and if there's 27 tons of gold, we'll be very happy. I don't know how the hell we're going to measure it, but that's okay. We want to see lots of nice, beautiful, shiny gold in Fort Knox. Don't be totally surprised. We open the door, we'll say, there's nothing here. They stole this too.
The United States Bullion Depository, better known as Fort Knox, was built in 1936 to store the nation's vast gold reserves. It became a critical asset during the economic turmoil of the Great Depression and later played a role in securing America's financial dominance. Over the years, Fort Knox has been surrounded by myths, intrigue, and a nearly impenetrable wall of secrecy. Officially, it houses 147.3 million ounces of gold worth over $430 billion at today's prices. Despite its significance, very few people have ever seen the inside of Fort Knox. The security measures are unparalleled, with the facility guarded by the U.S. Mint Police and located on a military base. The gold is said to be stored in 13 sealed compartments behind a 20-ton vault door, accessible only by individuals with separate access codes. Yet, for all the security, one glaring issue remains. There has not been a full, independent audit of the gold in decades. While some officials claim routine inspections have taken place, skeptics argue that these checks have been inadequate. Most famously, in 2017, then Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin visited Fort Knox along with other officials and posted a photo of himself handling gold bars. But this was hardly a comprehensive audit, just a staged visit to reassure the public. The last official audit, conducted in 1953, was only a partial review. This lack of transparency has given rise to numerous conspiracy theories, including claims that the gold has been secretly moved, sold off, or replaced with fake bars. The issue has now resurfaced in the most dramatic way possible, with Trump and Musk demanding answers. Their insistence on verifying Fort Knox's contents has rekindled old suspicions and placed a spotlight on whether the U.S. government is hiding something. Trump and Musk's bold claims.
We're actually going to Fort Knox because I want to see, do we have the gold? Do we still have whatever it is, tons of gold? I hope we do. Wouldn't that be disappointing? Fort Knox. You grow up hearing about Fort Knox. You can't get in. You can't even see it. Nobody sees it. You go there and the place is dry. Would that be terrible?
Donald Trump's assertion that Fort Knox may have been looted is among the most shocking claims he's made regarding government transparency. His remarks, made during a recent speech, suggested that billions in gold may have been stolen without the public's knowledge. "We have found hundreds of billions of dollars worth of fraud," he stated, "and we've just started. We're actually going to Fort Knox to see if the gold is there because maybe somebody stole the gold, tons of gold." Musk, never one to shy away from controversial topics, has echoed Trump's concerns. He recently posted on X, "Who is confirming that the gold wasn't stolen from Fort Knox? Maybe it's there, maybe it's not. The gold is owned by the American public. We want to know if it's still there." The claims have been met with fierce debate. Skeptics argue that the idea of stealing gold from Fort Knox is preposterous due to the high level of security. But the lack of an independent audit has fueled speculation that something might be amiss. The government's repeated refusal to conduct a full-scale inventory has only added to public distrust. While no solid evidence has been presented to support Trump and Musk's theory, the controversy has placed significant pressure on officials to conduct a long overdue audit. A history of elusive audits.
When they take you down there, there's obviously a very secure process. The gold, as I think people know, is not in the building that is seen, but it's actually beneath the ground. There are very serious processes that have to be conducted to get people both in and out of there. And what we saw was a lot of gold.
Although government officials insist that Fort Knox's gold reserves are intact, historical records tell a murkier story. The last full-scale inspection dates back to 1953, and even that audit was incomplete. In 1974, journalists were invited to view the gold, but this was little more than a publicity stunt. While there have been ongoing checks, the actual auditing process remains shrouded in mystery. The most damning revelation came in 2015 when a Freedom of Information Act request revealed that 7 Fort Knox gold audit reports were missing. These reports, which should have confirmed the existence of the gold, simply could not be found. And in 2011, Treasury Inspector General Eric Thorson assured Congress that, quote, 100% of the U.S. government's gold reserves have been inventoried and audited. However, this claim was impossible to verify due to missing documentation. Auditing Fort Knox is no simple task. Experts estimate that a full audit would take at least 18 months and require thousands of hours of work. Given the sheer scale of the gold reserves, verifying its existence would require advanced equipment, including high-precision scales and X-ray fluorescence scanners. The cost of such an operation is another barrier, as it could require millions in taxpayer dollars. The conspiracy theories.
This is for the unbelievers. Okay.
The vault only opened twice since FDR. The first time in September 1974 for a group of journalists and members of Congress to dispel rumors the gold was gone.
The mystery surrounding Fort Knox has given rise to several conspiracy theories, each attempting to explain what might have happened to the gold. One of the most popular theories suggests that the gold has been secretly sold off to foreign banks to help the U.S. government pay off its national debt. While Fort Knox holds an estimated $430 billion in gold, the amount is minuscule compared to the country's $28.3 trillion debt. Still, some argue the gold may have been quietly liquidated. Another theory posits that Fort Knox never actually contained as much gold as the government claimed. According to this idea, the facility has been an elaborate deception designed to maintain confidence in the U.S. dollar. A third claim revolves around counterfeit gold bars. In 2009, reports emerged that gold-plated tungsten bars had been circulating in international markets. Some theorists believe that Fort Knox may contain fake gold, a claim that has never been formally investigated. The final and most dramatic theory, now championed by Trump and Musk, is that the gold was stolen. This would require an unprecedented level of corruption and secrecy, yet the lack of transparency has left room for this kind of speculation. Could the gold have been moved?
You have all these people. We had Senator Huddleston on there, who's from Kentucky. We said, "Is there gold in there?" He said, "He thinks so." We said, "Could it be gone?" He says, "It could be gone." I'm like, "What do you mean?"
Nobody knows.
Another major question surrounding the Fort Knox controversy is whether some or all of the gold may have been moved to another location. While officials maintain that the reserves remain intact, historical records show that gold transfers between vaults have occurred before, sometimes under highly suspicious circumstances. One of the most well-documented cases involved the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, which also holds a significant portion of U.S. gold reserves. In recent years, there have been multiple reports of gold being quietly transferred from the New York Fed to undisclosed locations. Some of this gold was returned to foreign governments, while other transfers remain unexplained. Adding to the mystery, U.S. banks have been flying large quantities of gold from London to New York, raising questions about whether gold is being reshuffled between vaults. The lack of transparency surrounding these transfers has led to speculation that Fort Knox's gold may have been moved in a similar fashion, either to another domestic vault, a private institution, or even overseas. If the gold has been moved, the question remains, where did it go, and why hasn't the public been informed? Without an independent audit, there's no way to verify whether the reserves remain in place or have been secretly relocated. Until a full inventory is conducted, suspicions will continue to grow over the fate of America's gold. Now it's time to hear from you. Do you think Trump and Musk are right to demand an audit of Fort Knox? Let us know in the comments section below.